Hello, world, and welcome to the CEWIT podcast. I'm Chris Lange, your host, and I'm joined today by Kyle Lawrence, a partner at Falcon, Rappaport Berkman LLP. Hey, how are you doing today, Kyle?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing good. Thanks so much for joining us today at the CEWIT conference and again on our CEWIT podcast. It's really exciting today in the conference. There's just so much energy and so much collaboration about how we can really look forward to building a safer, more sustainable, and healthier future. But one thing that I'm really wondering is, from your perspective, are there any kind of myths or, questions that you would say people have about your job and what you do in your role?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me. Generally speaking, people tend to misconstrue the role of the lawyer in most things, whether it's negotiating a contract, handling a litigation. People think that we make all the decisions for our clients. That is not true. We make suggestions, clients make decisions, for good or ill. But that's probably the biggest misconception about lawyers in general that I would say.
No, it's great to hear that. And so within your role at your company, could you just give us a little bit more color about what you do and some of the expertise that you have?
Sure. Thank you. So I've been in private practice for 17 years. I am the co-chairman of the Emerging Technologies and Blockchain Practice Group at the firm with my partner, Moish Peltz. He's an intellectual property guy. My background is in finance and corporate compliance. So run-of-the-mill corporate attorney stuff, mergers, acquisitions, capital raising. I specialize in that. Got my start on Wall Street many, many years ago and sort of pivoted to the blockchain and emerging technology space about 2.5 years ago. And I find it very personally and professionally satisfying every day. It's very interesting. It's always changing, stuff coming out every day. I really do enjoy it.
Yeah, I think that it's so exciting to be, in that technology sphere where there's so much innovation happening. There's so much energy and excitement. And across many different disciplines, you get to talk to people and really see how they are taking this and how they are applying it in their own work. And today here at the CEWIT 2023 conference, as we're talking about, we are focused on that healthier, safer, and more sustainable future. So from your perspective, what would your vision be of what technologies are playing a role in building that bigger future?
Well, I think cryptocurrency obviously is one, and I don't say that to be a self-fulfilling prophecy, but cryptocurrencies, blockchain technology in general, and of course, artificial intelligence, which are the main focal points of this conference. With cryptocurrency, there's a lot of applications that I think just haven't really been tapped yet by the general public. People kind of understand sort of what blockchain is, but the public at large, they just think it's cartoon pictures of cats that are selling for millions of dollars. They don't really understand what blockchain is. They don't understand the application of business to business transactions, financial transactions, real estate, insurance contracts. All of these things that are done in a very cumbersome manner can be more easily achieved and more easily watched by people, and there'll be a lot less fraud in it if people just adopted them more. And I think a lot of that comes with just understanding how these technologies work. That's one of the best things about this conference, is that it distills down very complicated things into easily digestible format for people to appreciate and hopefully adapt into their lives.
Yeah, I think that's such a great point, because there is such a depth to these different technologies, even within blockchain, of, when there is so much capabilities for these technologies to be applied to different regions, it can be a little bit overwhelming for someone from my background in even a software engineer, right? Taking a look at what is being done in blockchain, what is being done in crypto in a broader sense, right? There's a question of, how can I start to understand this, and how can I really get involved in learning about these type of technologies? So if you're going to take, from your perspective, how someone who's maybe a student who's interested in this, or if someone who is maybe in a different career path, but is so interested and excited in getting involved in building the future of these technologies, what kind of advice would you give to that person to say, get started?
It's an excellent question. The first thing I would say is don't go online. It's like when people go on WebMD and think that they have the whatever disease they just looked up. In all seriousness, the biggest obstacle that people have in understanding what blockchain is and how it can work for them is the misinformation that's out there. With most things in this world today, with blockchain, there's a lot of people out there, FUD as we call it, that it's not correct, or it's a misapplication of the technology, and that can be oftentimes what people see for the first time, and that's what they think blockchain is. I think the easiest and most efficient way of doing it is to go onto Coinbase, start, buy a little Ethereum, understand how that process works, and then understand what Ethereum is, for example, what you can do with it, how are NFTs created, how are tokens created. And the only reason you can do that is with hands-on experience and working with somebody who understands.
No, I think that's so key to a lot of different approaches that we take within technology. Where even if you are taking a look at things, it's not until you start building with them or getting your hands dirty, so to speak, with that technology, where you can really get that hands-on experience and take a deeper dive into, what are the gaps of your current understanding, and how can you work with people to fill in those gaps and work together with those technologies. So even in today's world right now, a lot of that, common discussion is about things like ChatGPT, right? We've all heard the name, and these large learning models in general are such a technology that has, really enthralled the world. So what would you say in your day-to-day experience is the impact of these different machine learning AI technologies?
Sure. It's difficult to really wrap my arms around because I don't necessarily know if I'm dealing with a person or dealing with an AI on the other side.
Right.
I actually called a client a couple of weeks ago, and I had dialed the wrong number and had called a different client, but I thought I was talking to somebody else. And he thought that he was talking to an AI generated bot because I was asking questions that I might have asked him.
Oh, wow.
Had he was so it's a lot of things like that. For me as an attorney, the biggest struggle I have is work that I get from my associates and from my staff who, if they get overworked or they just don't have time to get to a particular project, which is a problem we all face in the legal world, they may turn to ChatGPT to write the first draft of a contract for them. And if I'm too busy and I don't have time to look at it, that can be a problem if I submit something that is not accurate or has a false citation of a case. You've seen that in courts, time and time again. So me as a legal practitioner, that's one of the most immediate challenges that I face. And that's only going to become more burdensome as the technology continues to develop and continues to advance.
Yeah, and I think that that's such a key theme that we've been seeing throughout the conference, where speakers have talked about, while these AI and ML systems are so powerful, there is that question of not only the output of these models, but the input that is being put into those, and how can you kind of, add that human element in, because while it is such powerful technology, you still have to have that layer of different trust and verification of that data. I am just wondering a little bit more. So if you take a look at these AI systems and how they run into that intersection of blockchain and the different benefits of blockchain, would you say that there is a type of synergy there? Or would you say that those technologies are on, similar paths?
I think they're on similar paths in terms of public adoption and in terms of regulation specifically. And my biggest fear, and it's something I'm going to talk about at the conference later today, is the biggest fear I have is, look, we're all clamoring for regulation. When regulation? When regulation? That applies to cryptocurrency as well as to artificial intelligence. The White House released an executive order a couple of weeks ago about it, and it demonstrated that they have the right idea as to what they're trying to accomplish, but they can't paint the entire thing with one broad brush. And that's a fear that I have with respect to possible regulations that are coming out with respect to cryptocurrency. Similar to Sarbanes-Oxley that happened in 2004. You had Enron, you had Tyco, you had these other problems. So they said, all this is going to get changed. And they had all these unintended consequences of making it too difficult for companies to go public, too expensive to stay public if they were, so on and so forth. Same thing with cryptocurrency. If they say all crypto is going to be regulated in this way, it's going to cut out a lot of the innovation. It's going to cut out a lot of the ways in which this technology can help us do our jobs, can help us advance as a society. That's just my biggest fear.
Yeah, I think that it's something that is on all of our minds because there are so many applications of this technology across every different field, whether that's healthcare, whether that is in climate modeling, whether that's in sustainability, whether that's in crypto. Everything is, being affected by these technologies, and everyone is, adding their collective voice to building that future together. And it's something that I think is very interesting and very energizing, but it's also something where we have that, that open question right now of what does the future look like. So I do just want to thank you so much today for joining us at the CEWIT conference on our fireside chat, and again for joining us on our podcast. So thank you for joining us, and I'm looking forward to joining everyone again in our next podcast episode.